Greetings, everyone, from the White Mountains of Arizona. And these days, the mountains are what, Tara?
Snowy and muddy and cold.
Right, and the White Mountains are also white.
Hence the White
It's
Mountains.
the White Mountains. So we're here today with another walk and chat. Tara's shivering, but I feel great.
Well, I like the sun. We had sun, and then the chemtrails came, and now we have no sun.
She's a
And
little
I'm
bitter. It reminds me of childhood, growing up near the beach, so I like it. Tara grew up near the beach, so I don't know what's not to like.
I grew up near the beach, but it's always overcast and cold at the beach. You pray for a 90-degree day in San Diego.
All right, well, the channeling. We wanted to know about Egyptians. And Tara was able to channel this dog entity that was actually multiple entities, right?
Yes.
And she could only say so much in the channeling, but after we stopped the recording, she had a lot to say.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some of the things that you got in the channeling that you couldn't say during the channeling?
Yeah, it was like so much information all at once that I was having a hard time verbalizing it since the entity wasn't directly like inside of me. Gosh, where do I start? Okay. Well, like I was seeing like Akhenaten and Nefertiti, Nefertiti and Akhenaten being really famous because of how they wanted to change the belief system of the Egyptians from multi-deities to just one deity, which would be the sun, the Aten. And it's showing that really what they wanted is they saw the Egyptians had gotten away from understanding their own divinity and that the deities were part of them, hence why the deities all had like the head of an animal but the body of a human, was to show that connection between the two. And people had started kind of moving away from that connection and praying outside of themselves. So he wanted to take all of that away, him and his queen, and say, you know what, let's just pray to source, because that's where we all come from, the Aten, the Ra, the sun. And there was a huge uprising. A lot of people hated him and his wife because of that, because they're basically destroying their belief system. And it was ego driven at the time, and so that's why a lot of their statues and everything have been destroyed. You can't even find where Nefertiti is buried, because it was like a shock to the ego. Other things I saw was the different energetic points, kind of where the pyramids were built, all had like an archetypal type energy, almost like an energy of their own. And that's where the deities came from, like, Sekhmet and Anubis and Cow Patty, all of these things. And so it became like they're praying to a deity at the time, but it was like we're connecting to our own energy. We're connecting to the energy, which is ourselves. And then there was like this split that happened where a lot of people understood that the deities were them and they were the deities, and some saw it as the deities are outside of me, and all of this is happening outside of me. So it was like this two-world split kind of going on, and it was so interesting.
So the class system was based on how they saw these individuals who were higher.
Yeah, so instead of it seeing from our 3D perspective of, there was the royal class, and then you got your middle class, and you have your very poor people. That was how it was seen by people from like a very 3D perspective that didn't quite see the rulers as not being rulers at all, but more like sages and mystics that could say and help you to connect to your higher self, to kind of see the bigger picture, how to manipulate the 3D world. With your connection to 4 or 5D, and above. And so some just saw them as my oppressors, my kings and queens, and I'm so poor and I can't get out of this. I got to pray to a deity to like help me get out of this. And then there were those that were like, I want to serve this king and queen because they're healers, they're helpers. I'm going to learn from them so I too can ascend. And the deities are me. I am the deities. We can manipulate this world. And so it was like vastly different points of view.
Right. And their perceptions became their reality.
Exactly. So some saw the reality as like, wow, we have so much to learn and we can manipulate everything. We look at these giant structures that they could build, which were just representations in the physical world of what their higher selves could do, you know? And some just saw it as like, oh, another thing for the king and queen,
Yeah.
you know? And they didn't see the healing in it. They didn't see what they were capable of. They didn't see like what was being offered to them. It's very interesting.
Speaking of healing, what you got in your hand there?
Oh, hey. So I have this awesome golden healer, Himalayan quartz. Got this in Tucson. I saw this glimmering in the sun. You know, there's no sun today, but there's tons of rainbows in it. And just, I felt the energy. I knew I had to have it. And what the guy was asking for, I was like, oh, thinking that's too expensive. I started to walk away. And he gave it to me for way less than he was asking. He just kind of like whispered it to me. And I was like, okay, sold. Brought it home because this was going to be a personal piece, not one I was going to sell in the shop. So no, I'm not selling it, by the way.
There are so many more rainbows than the camera can even hope to capture.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It's got this little cave in here too.
But I was meditating with that, and I've been meditating with it. And actually, I've been sleeping with this giant thing underneath my pillow, which is probably why I had a hard time sleeping last night. But no, it's like I have to have it in the bedroom. I have to have it in the bed. It's just the entity in here is amazing.
I can vouch for that. These are Himalayan quartzes. These come from the highest point in the world, the Himalayas, and the ones I've connected to are higher vibrational, definitely 11th, 12th, 10th dimensional. And they're willing to help. They're here to help humanity. And I think this is considered a master crystal. This is one of those crystals that has all the knowledge of all the crystals and is willing to help humanity in any way it can. So they're very expensive because they have to be hand mined and hand brought down because machines can't get it to that elevation. So and that's the first place source hits the earth is the Himalayan peaks, and so that gets the biggest burst of source. So they've grown in the purest source they can, basically.
And the guy I bought this from, like, it was him, like he brought down all those crystals. So this isn't some like third, fourth hand thing. It was nice to see the guy that got these crystals, brought them in. Right. And he had a great energy himself. I mean, if I don't vibe with the person's energy I'm buying crystals from, I don't buy crystals from them. So, right. And he had a great energy. But yeah, it's like when you tap into this and you're meditating with it, you ask the question, it's like, here's the answer. What else do you want to know? Here's the answer. What else do you want to know? It's like the easiest thing. It's like, oh, okay. So
it's not for everyone. It's for people, advanced in their crystal journey, I would say. But man, they're great.
Yeah.
I
love it.
What else happened this week? You did some channelings on UFOs, didn't you?
Yes, and actually, we were talking about it during. I did a live chat today. We were talking about it then. Like what's going on with all of that, and there's so many different points of view. But kind of what I channeled. Oh, hey, a bird's nest. I must have flown away from somewhere. What my higher self was showing me was that a lot of the UFOs, quote unquote, that you see in the news and that our government is, or anybody's government is shooting them down, are kind of like false flags. It's like UFOs created by people, humans, and then us shooting them down for the sole purpose of the government's looking like they're powerful. Like, look, we can shoot down a UFO, advanced technology, and we did it. When really, for the most part, UFOs, aliens, all that reside outside of the third dimension.
Well, let's go backwards.
So.
Let's look at our programming, and that'll help us understand this. Is if you look at Hollywood TV, everything about aliens, everything that we are supposed to know that we're being fed about it, is that aliens are 3D beings. Mm-hmm. They come down in their ships, they have physicality, and they come to control us or destroy us or whatever.
They come to take over the world.
Come to take over. When the reality is, I would say, from my personal understanding, is that most quote unquote aliens have been here longer than we have. They've been here the whole time. They're just a different vibrational frequency. The ones that are closest to us are fourth dimensional. Those are the ones that some of us can perceive because we've opened up our pineal glands and our psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have used drugs or whatever it is to help us peer into that fourth realm. But there's aliens in the fifth realm, the sixth realm, the seventh realm. And there is no physicality in those places, so they're all here. And they've been, mingling with humans one at a time, sometimes at whole civilizations at a time, since the dawning of this planet and all the experiments it's gone through.
And a lot of us, our higher selves, are some of these alien races. So it's like they're just coming to visit their family, their relatives, wanting to help. And, of course, there's polarity in everything. Some, don't have such great intentions. Some do. And some want to help with the ascension of the planet. Some want to help with the awakening. Some want to help maintain the matrix. It's like, but they're all, a lot of the times when people see, UFOs or they see things, it's oftentimes with their third eye. Very rarely with the human eyes. And those that have started seeing it more with their human eyes, it's just because the matrix is crumbling and that veil between the different dimensions is more visible to us, but it's still not in our dimension. So that was interesting. So it's like, yeah, it's a mix of stuff that's actually out there and stuff that's being created for the sole purpose of maintaining control of the people. Let's scare the people. Let's continue to promote the Hollywood narrative about all aliens. And let's make them think that we're all powerful so they continue to submit to us. Was kind of the gist I got.
Yeah, it's all programming. It's all just part of the narrative. If you saw in the news, then it's fabricated.
Yeah.
So,
because the news isn't really known to be that truthful.
Our F-16 shot down these unknown
I was telling
advanced
James
technologies.
Earlier, like spirits, they're not in our 3D world, right? And spirits are in 4D or in whatever. And it's like trying to shoot a bullet at a ghost. Like, how are you going to shoot down a ghost ship? Like, it's not going to happen.
I mean, I assure you that there's no laws, there's no rules. Everything's meant to be broken. I'm sure there are other species in 3D. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them have visited here. Who knows? But I'm saying that they're in all dimensional frequencies. Most of them are higher dimensional that we'd be interacting with. And they're mostly 4D and above. So they are you. Your higher self is 4D and above.
Yeah. So
you're an alien.
Can't assume it's all, Orwell's War of the Worlds, and wasn't that an interesting experiment? It wasn't real, and yet everybody was destroying things. They thought for sure there was aliens, and they were killing people, and because the media told them, the radio told them.
Let's hope we've grown past that.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't repeat.
All right, well, that's the end of our walking chat. Any last comments, words, feelings?
No, I mean, except for look how awesome it is that we could have like dirt and rocks on this side and still a snowy wonderland on that side. I think
it's the duality.
Yes, we live in the.
It's the yin and the yang. Wait, put your head right there.
Oh.
There's the yin right there.
Yeah.
All right. Here's mine. Okay. Anyway, let's say goodbye.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.